Earlier this year, Sebastian Vettel announced that he'd be retiring from Formula 1 at the end of the 2022 season, and ever since then I've been trying to think of a proper way to pay tribute to him and his career on this channel, and upon much thought, I think I've finally found a way. Excluding his debut with Sauber, Sebastian Vettel has driven for 4 teams in his Grand Prix career, and I've made it my duty on here to remind fans of racing about great drives that have probably gone under the radar by fans and media alike. I've done it with Schumacher, I've done it with Hamilton, and I've done it with others. Today, however, we aren't just going to do one for Seb, we are gonna do 4. One from each team he's driven on, which perfectly coincides with the 4 world titles that he won in his career. So let's get to it. My name is Intern, I talk wheel, and these are 4 of Sebastian Vettel's most underrated performances. Toro Rosso, China 2007. After a brilliant debut with BMW Sauber at the US Grand Prix, Toro Rosso signed Seb that same year to see out the season with them. Everyone knows about the famous win he got for the team at Monza in 2008, but China the year prior does go a bit under the radar. After a couple rocky finishes, including missing out on a potential maiden podium at Fuji after a crash with Mark Webber, Vettel would have his best race for Toro Rosso that season at the Chinese Grand Prix. He qualified P17 on the grid in the dry, but the race started in wet conditions, and Seb flourished, slicing his way through the pack like a grizzled veteran, and with retirements from Hamilton and Kubica giving him extra spots, Seb would go on to finish P4, Toro Rosso's best finish ever in the sport, at least it was at the time. Red Bull, Malaysia 2014 qualifying. 2014 is seen as the season where many agree to be Seb's worst at Red Bull. After 4 straight world championships, Red Bull took a step back in pace due to the hybrid regulations, and Vettel took a step back in form, being outdriven by his younger new teammate Daniel Ricciardo. However, in 2014, Vettel produced one of his most underrated performances probably of his entire career. It came during qualifying for the 2014 Malaysian Grand Prix. After testing, it was evident that Mercedes were the new top dogs in the sport, and this season began their run of 8 straight Constructors' Championships that lasted all the way to 2021. However, at Malaysia in 2014, the field had a chance to do something about this early, as rain washed the session and gave the field a chance to get a bit closer. Seb, however, got as close as possible, qualifying P2 that day with a 1:59.486, only 0.05 off Hamilton's pole-winning time. As it was just the second race of the hybrid era, no one thought much of this at the time, but when you consider that a Renault-powered car didn't score a pole in the hybrid era until Monaco 2016, and have only scored 3 in total in the 8 years of the hybrid era, it further emphasizes the Herculean effort that was Seb's lap that day. Ferrari, USA 2015. Anyone who tuned into the final laps of the 2015 US Grand Prix probably thought it was business as usual. Vettel in P3 fighting to be the filling in a Mercedes sandwich, but by no means did that tell the whole story. In a race that saw changeable conditions, Sebastian had to work for that podium after taking a grid penalty for a new power unit and starting in P13. From P13 on the grid, Vettel would slice his way through the field on lap 1, getting all the way up to P7. From there, he had great battles with a then 18-year-old Max Verstappen and picked off the 2 Red Bulls on a safety car restart to get up to P3. A P2 would have delayed Hamilton's 2015 championship, but he was unable to catch Rosberg at the end, but still recorded a P3 finish that day, making up 10 places in tricky conditions. Aston Martin, Monaco 2021. A rocky start to the new chapter in his career as an Aston Martin driver had a few fans worried if Seb would make something of this new environment. However, Seb got on proper footing at that year's Monaco Grand Prix, a track he had seen a string of great finishes at in the past. Seb qualified 8th around the streets in what was just his second Q3 appearance that season. But it didn't just stop there. Vettel would take that P8 and turn it into a P5, cleverly pacing himself throughout the race and pulling off a brilliant overcut on Pierre Gasly and Lewis Hamilton. The P5 extended his streak of never finishing outside the top 5 around the streets of Monaco, and he did so in a year and in a car where no one thought he even stood a chance. Sebastian Vettel's name will remain on record lists for many years to come as the sport's third most successful participant. Some say with the form he's even shown this year, why even leave? But he's made his decision, and one of the best ways to celebrate it is to look back at all the great drives that he's given us. So that's it. There you have it. 4 of Vettel's most underrated drives, 1 for each team he's driven for. As always, leave a like if you liked, subscribe to see more. My name is Intern, I talk wheel, and thanks for watching.